Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Deep Dive with Tiffany and myself, Stephen. Now, this week we're talking about something that's it's kind of fun in a sense.
Yeah.
It's a big topic because we're always talking about our fertility rate here in Singapore.
Yes.
And we're wondering why people don't want to have kids,
Yeah.
or why some people really want to have kids.
And they put two of the best people to talk about
Oh, really?
this
Yeah,
because
because-
between both of us, we have 4 kids.
Yeah, we replaced ourselves, just nice.
But we want to understand, why, not just the fact that we're having this national conversation, but why is it that it's so hard to move, people who don't want to have kids to, the part where we're trying to push people to have kids.
Yeah. And we're trying to understand what it is, for people here in Singapore to decide to do that. Because it's not a given anymore that we will naturally have children. I think the whole DINK lifestyle is very common. Double
DINK.
income, no kids. Parenthood has shifted in the way it has evolved over time and it has changed. And I guess many of these decisions are now part of a lifestyle choice. And that's some of the areas we want to look at today.
Yes, we want to unpack some of this today with Alisa Chopard. She's in a long-term relationship but no plans of having children.
Thank you for having me.
And Alicia Lim, she's been married for about 1.5 years and is planning for a kid.
Thanks for having me as well.
So, Alyssa, let's start off with you because you're 39 years old. You're doing well professionally. You're in a long-term relationship, but you have made it very clear that you don't want to have children, right? So, tell us why.
It's a very big answer. I think we can break it down into maybe 4 different, parts. I think the first one is I grew up with an abusive parent. So I think the trauma that leaves you takes years to undo. That's the first thing. And then I think as you grow older, you realize you have a lot of blind spots.
Okay.
And that might impact sort of the next generation if you choose to raise the next generation. And I think that's not something that I wish on anyone because I have experienced it and I know what it's like, to be parented by someone who probably hasn't done the work on themselves. The second thing is I was divorced when I was 29. So I did life by the book. I got a job. Graduated from university, got a job, found someone, settled down, moved in to a home, built a home together. So the divorce was like, I suppose, a rug being pulled out from under my feet.
Right.
Everything I knew about what life was supposed to be, as was told to me, changed, right? And then I started to question why that was so. Why do we even have to follow the status quo? Why do we have to follow the way that, we're taught? And then that's, I think, when I decided maybe this is not the path for me.
At that time when you were with your husband, had you guys thought about having children?
We did. We
Okay.
did. So I think that was the natural sort of progression
Right.
after that. But the divorce sort of changed everything for me and how I view life. I think the third, and I think this is the most contentious, is that I can't really think of a reason to have a child that is not selfish. For me personally.
Okay.
I've asked a lot of people, why do you have kids, right? A common answer is, somebody will be there for me when I grow old. I won't be alone. I want to raise the next generation of leaders, so on and so forth. But I think all this is very inherently self-serving in that sense. And then there is the fourth bucket, which is a very big topic. I think it's a lot to do with how we are set up as a society. We are capitalists, first and foremost, which means that the pressure, what we strive for, we're set up for economic success, right? So which woman today would want to take a step back? Because that will set you back 1 to 2 years. And, ultimately we are dual income households. That's what we're set up for. And if you're asking why the woman, it's because we are essentially patriarchal, right? It definitely falls on the woman, a lot of it. And then I think it's just down to logistics, right? I think smaller homes make it hard for us to look after elderly parents, young kids, plus have a helper in the house.
Cost of living.
So Alicia is
Yeah.
nodding while you are saying all of that. And anything in there, really
Oh, I
resonates
totally
with you?
agree with whatever she just said.
Okay.
But you want to have kids,
But I
in spite
still-
of what she's saying. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm 31 this year. I have friends around my age or slightly younger in their mid-20s. And they really know from the start that they're not going to have kids purely because of the reasons that Alisa just shared. The cost of living, just societal pressure on how that kids is the next step for them. But that's not what everybody is choosing these days. But I still choose to have kids. And like she said, I believe to a certain degree when I really simmered down my decision to have kids, it is self-serving to
Okay.
a certain degree. But a difference from her is that when I think about having kids is a part of me and my husband putting our hope into the future that having a kid, there's just two of us and we can shape their lives to perhaps serve society better. I mean,
Okay.
that's what every parent, from what I have discussed with my young parents' friends, like they want their kids to contribute something good to society. And maybe that's why some people choose to have kids because they believe that they can contribute to society that way. And whereas some people that chose not to have kids, they contribute their own way. Whether is it
Right.
them taking care of their elderly parents when nobody can, or taking care of their niece and nephews, or donating to charities that help with children. You don't have to be a parent to hope for the future,
course.
but
Yeah.
there are some people that choose to put it into a child.
Yeah. Is it very common among your friends around this age where you see a split between, there's a group that really wants to have kids, and then there's an equal number of, people on the other side where they're like, I'm okay without kids because of all the reasons that both of you have described earlier on. There's really no reason for me to have a child.
Oh, it's definitely quite an even split. I know of 6 couples that have kids, either their first kid or planning for the third. Whereas on the other side, I have the same amount of friends that decided that they are not going to have kids, and to the point that they're even planning vasectomies or even
wow,
tying their
okay.
tubes. So it's that drastic of a division. It's not even choosing not to have kids. It's making sure they don't even have.
But you know what? I'm thinking to myself, actually, I never thought so much about having kids. I mean, you guys have put this down and I'm like, wow. I
So
know.
you're saying that
but-
don't overthink this. Is
I
that what
think
you're
so
saying?
because I grew up in a family where I have 2 older sisters, but it was also in an environment where and they all have children, and whenever we meet for family gatherings, there'll be lots of buzz and noise, and so I kind of got used to that. And so when it was my turn to get married, and with my wife and I, she's also from a fairly large family, it just never occurred to us that we would not have kids. We both wanted children, but we never went down to the point where both of you have sort of mapped out all the things for and against it. I never really thought so far ahead. So I'm thinking, to a certain extent, is it me that's messed it up, or are we really overthinking this a bit too much?
To be fair, I asked my husband on the 3rd date, is he planning to have kids?
On the 3rd date.
Yeah.
On the 3rd
Wow,
date, which is about
you worked
Wow.
very fast.
1
Okay.
month or about 3 weeks into us just dating.
Dating. Okay.
So I asked him are you planning to have kids? Then he was like, oh, why are you asking me this now? And I was like, because I want to make sure that if I'm gonna continue investing in this
Right.
relationship and becoming a couple and then subsequently getting married, I want to be on the same page with someone
That's
that
right.
wants to have kids. I don't want to waste your time. If you don't want to have kids, it's fine. But just I'm not the person to be with.
Yeah,
And
and I
what
think
did
that's
he
a fair statement. Yeah.
So what did he say to that? Was
He
he
said
on
he wants kids.
Okay.
He wants 3. I'm just like, okay.
Oh wow. Okay. Okay.
Oh, even in a number in mind. Okay, that's pretty clear.
Yeah.
Well, Alyssa, for yourself, I mean, you're saying when you were married the first time, I mean, kids was kind of on the cards. But is it because you had at that point not really thought about it too much and you just thought, well, this is what everyone does. This is the
Yes.
normal way it happens,
Yes,
right?
Yes, but I think this is one of the decisions in life that you really have to think about because, I mean, the impact I think
Yeah.
children have on someone's life is enormous, right? The responsibility, not just impact, we're talking about the responsibility,
for sure.
right? On a woman's body, the career, like everything, your financials. And I think people don't give it enough thought. I honestly think people don't give it enough thought because I have friends who would come to me and say, don't have kids. Those who have kids, they'll come to me and say, maybe don't have kids, right? And the reason why you are in that, I mean, of course, the reason why you're in that, you can
Yep.
say that is because you understand how tough it is, right? And how much it has required. And if someone didn't give it enough thought and went into that, then you just have a lot of, frustration, resentment,
Yeah.
yes.
But how do you know? You may have been a great mum.
I'm sure I would have been a great
Right,
mom.
there you go.
I'm sure I would have
There
been
you
a
go,
great mom.
right?
Because you know what
Yeah.
you shouldn't be doing, right? So in that sense, did you ever at some point of your life thought, what if I had become a parent? Would I want to parent differently?
Yes, I mean that's undoubtedly what would have needed to happen. But I think I read this. I was watching this video the other day that basically talked about regret. Regardless of what you do, there will be regret. You have a child, you don't have a child, there's regret on either side. You take this job, you don't take this job, there's regret.
Exactly.
Right? Every decision has regret. So I think it's a matter of asking yourself, which regret can I then live with?
Yep.
And I'm not sure I could live with the regret of having a child, not doing right by the child for some reason, whatever reason. I don't think I could live with that regret.
I think that's worse.
Yes,
worse.
that's
Yeah,
much,
that would be
much
worse.
worse.
So what does it look like to do right by a child if you have a child? What kind of setup would you need to have?
That's a very big question. So my father was very hands-on. My father is one of those parents who is quite strict, very disciplined, but unconditional love. And you know that love is not dependent on how you perform, how well you do. I think that is one sort of key component. But of course, my father comes with his own baggage, right? His own
think every parent
challenges
does.
and baggage. And he has expressed to me, in the past, the regrets that he has had when it comes to raising me, what he could have done better. And I think looking at all that, I think there's only so much unconditional love can do. Do you know what I mean? I mean, you can set everything up, you can put all the parameters in place, but the cards never fall the way that you want it to fall, I feel, in life, right? And something's got to give.
Do you think we are set up as a country or
No.
a society to be able to raise kids well?
Nope.
So what?
We're not.
Immediate.
I haven't
okay.
finished the question. But I want to
Right.
know, what do you think is missing? What else do you think we need?
No, when you say no, we haven't been set up. What do you
Yeah.
mean by that?
For someone to say that, my kid is feeling unwell in school, and I need to pick them up, your boss will be like, I need you to put in half-day leave immediately. And it's not even I just need to step out for 2 hours. And that's what I've seen with my friends as well, where it's finding someone to take care of your child when you're not around is also a hassle. And even when we want to send them to infant care and things like that, the system is not... How do I put it?
But many will argue that has changed quite a lot, and many bosses are more flexible and more,
And they're
open
trying,
and
they're
trying.
trying
So,
to move towards that.
I mean, you're saying it's this rigidity that is you feel is sort of hampering.
I feel that companies in general are still quite, like she said, capitalist. It's the money that comes first.
Okay.
And when their employee is out of commission because of family matters, the onus falls on the employee.
So it's more the fact that everything is about the money. That's
yes, the money.
the whole meritocracy idea. We're really so
Yeah.
driven to that.
Yes,
Yes.
Okay.
like there's more emphasis on earning the money first and then having a child, which is not the
Yep.
is not the wrong idea. You do need money to take care of a child, but when everything is driven by performance based, even from a parent point of view,
Okay.
it passes down to the child. Oh, you do well, you get A, I give you $100. That kind of mindset starts from
Yeah,
young.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just thinking about the idea of whether or not modern society here in Singapore, everything needs to be the right environment. We need to have the right environment. We need to have the right finances. We need to have the right setup before we can take that leap to become parents. But parenthood, as I have learned, is super duper messy. I would never get the formula right. So are we changing our expectations, about what we want out of life? Everything must be, perfectly planned.
Or is it
and
more
is
the
that fair?
Is it more the fact you're saying that now before you even have kids, you're like, I got to send them to the top school, I got to be able to pay for tuition and, whatever, swimming lesson, piano lesson.
Because I need to give the best for this child that I'm going to bring into the world.
And that's because that's how Singapore makes us feel.
But then could we be the ones to break that and to say,
We
I
can.
don't have to over-optimize my life?
Even if you have the perfect conditions, the cards will fall as they may, right? And it is messy, right? Nobody is saying life is not messy. But I think the way that society has set up, the way that we are all shaped and molded to be part of this structure is a certain way. And to get that lifestyle change or that mindset shift, certain things need to happen. And it's not about, our houses need to be bigger. We need to have X dollars in infant care grants, or we need to, I don't know, what else do we need
Actually,
to?
Those will help. Those will
Those will
help.
help.
Those will
Yes,
help.
they will help. But I'm not saying that all needs to happen as a perfect formula. No. I think it's more of a bigger mindset shift where all of us are, we are molded by the society and shaped by the society that we have to operate in, right? And if you think about it, like for example, now dual income is a must, right, in Singapore, because it's very hard to get
Because
by. I'm not
things are
saying that you
expensive,
can't, but it's hard to get by. Singaporeans have aspirations. You can have, as a choice, take a pay cut. You can live simply, that's all fine, and still raise kids. But how many Singaporeans actually want that, right? We're a bunch of aspirational people.
You mentioned earlier that it's about the mindset. So maybe we want too much. We want our careers, we want to be ambitious, but we also want children and we want the best for them. So we want it all. Like Singapore,
can't
we
have
always
it
want to
all.
be like the hub, the
Not at
number
the
one
same
for
time.
whatever.
We cannot
right?
have it all. Like if
Yeah.
you look at the other countries around the world, like if you look at Scandinavian countries, for
Yeah.
example, their culture is incredibly different. Their work culture is very different. Their work-life balance is fantastic, right?
Right.
And they have like family units.
They
A
are
lot of them are,
family-centric, yeah.
they are family-centric, right? So you can't have it all. Something has got to give, right? And I think the way that we are set up for economic success and prioritizing economic success, therefore means that something else has got to give.
But I think when I started becoming a mother, I also had this idea that I can't have it all, and I want to have it all. And I felt that I was making a lot of sacrifices with my career to become a mother. But I think now, 7 years into motherhood, I can look back and say I don't think I actually made the sacrifices I thought was detrimental to my
Right.
career. So what it is was that I was willing to change my expectations. So I may not always progress in my 20s, I saw how careers should be like. But in my 30s, when I was ready to become a mom, I took a slightly different path, but I wouldn't actually say it was a sacrifice. So I think there will be some women who will also say that, it really depends on expectations, and I didn't actually, sort of like take a step
Yeah.
down.
But that's you.
It's a choice.
You see, you managed your own expectations.
Yes.
So there'll be other mothers who are saying,
there
I
will
still
be-
want to keep it going.
Yeah.
You know?
So there will be that part that society will have to play, and companies will need to say it's okay, take your time, and there will be something for you when you come back, right? Especially to the mothers. But at the same time, I think internally we need to also be okay with the fact that what we expect in our 20s may not be what we will still expect in our 30s or 40s.
So is there expectations? Do you feel that you will have to, if you have kids, do you feel that you would have to be giving up something in order to have them and to...
I just had this discussion
Yeah.
with my mother earlier today at lunch, because she was someone that chose to have kids, even though my dad was a foreigner and wasn't around much, and she was still just building her business. I was like, why would you
Wow.
choose to have kids?
Yeah.
Like, if you focus on the company first, then she's like, but I wanted to have kids. And I told myself that I will not sacrifice my dream, which was to
Right.
be a boss, just because I want a kid. And she still went ahead with me and then
Right.
my younger sister. So I told her, like, what was your mindset? And back
Yeah.
then, in the 1990s, like, what possessed you to think that you could run a company and have 2 kids at the same time? She said that it was sheer will.
I was just thinking
And
that.
sheer will and determination. She told me that she will make this work.
Right, if there's a will, there's a way. I often feel that it will be a hard journey. No one's saying it's easy, but if you really want something, you'll find a way to make it work.
Yes.
That's why I
Right.
asked her. But and I told her, okay, what do you think is the difference between back then and now? I mean, 90s is not that far away. And she told me the main thing is that she feels that society is more judgmental towards mothers now.
She feels that
She
way.
feels that way.
In what way judgmental?
She
like,
said
did you
in
say?
the way that there is with the advancement of technology, the social media, she said there are more eyes watching you now, ready to record you at any mess up, compared to back then
Okay.
when there
So,
was...
so she was okay with bringing you to the shopping mall, and then you were throwing a tantrum, and she knows nobody's going to record you having a tantrum and
Something
judging
like
her
that. Yeah,
parenthood.
something like this. And also when she has to run errands, okay, I was a 9-year-old bringing in stocks. So
Right.
that was
Yeah.
that was part of her experience, that she feels back then society was more accepting of children being children.
Were there sacrifices your mother had to make in life or with her career?
She brought me along to client meetings,
Oh, wow.
and I sat at the reception.
Were you quiet?
Uh,
cannot imagine bringing my kid to this podcast recording.
I was stuck with a book and reading. But she was more like, she made life work for her.
Yeah. Would you do the same? Would you be willing
Yeah.
to bring your kid to client meetings?
I
'Cause-
would bring the kid to my office
Yeah.
because we are planning to designate a playpen area for
But
the
that's
kid.
because you can plan
That's
it.
because we can. So on the other hand, when I ask my friends that are both working employees, the kid has to be in infant care.
Yeah.
Because their grandparents nowadays are not that willing to take care of their grandchildren, or are just not suited to it. So it's infant care immediately. And there is a part of them feels that, every time they send them infant care, they are not going to catch their first smile or maybe their first steps.
Oh.
It's a heartbreaking decision for every mom to make. But like you said, they need to have the double income to sustain this. So it's really, on top of the judgmental society, you're going to have additional financial stresses, and also just the emotional bond with your child, missing out on their precious time growing up. I feel like the whole conversation about fertility and having children, the mindset shift, like Alisa was mentioning about, needs to start with us females actually having open forum with the government. It's not just the government giving us initiatives,
Yep.
it's us having the discussion with them, because essentially we are the ones that are planning to have a child or not have a child. A man can become a father at any age, but I mean, there's a female,
yeah.
as females, like she said, a biological clock is ticking. Are we going to accept the regret we feel later on of not becoming a mom, or wish that we actually froze our eggs or do anything that might let us become a mom in the future? It's our decision to make, essentially, right? Yeah.
How can we as a nation help people to understand why some people don't want to have kids?
To be honest, like your mom, there are women who really want to have children,
Yeah.
and they will have children, right?
Yeah.
They will do everything it takes to make it work. There are some women like me who are on the fence, not sure at first, and then decide maybe not for me.
Right.
So I'm not sure that you can convince people like me, right? But it's easy to convince people who are still on the fence. And then, of course, the women who really want kids and will give up anything to make that happen. They don't need convincing at all, right?
So how do we have conversations to help those people in the middle, the ones that you just spoke about, the people who feel that they are emotionally not ready yet, or they are financially paralyzed at this point of time? How do we have conversations to try and help them make their decision, whether for or against
But
kids?
actually, I think
a
it's no use
personal-
having conversations
yeah.
with them. I mean, the conversation is there, but if it doesn't resolve anything, I mean, like, from what you're sharing, it's one of the key factors is the cost. The cost of living in Singapore and the cost of raising a family. So people do take a step back and go like, wow, not sure if I can afford that, and I don't want to bring a kid into the world if I can't afford to take care of them in a good way.
Yeah, or if they are a contributing member of society, they can contribute something to society, right?
I just did this recently, this interview with my son who is 16, and it surprised me because when we were talking, and suddenly I looked at him, I'm like, wow, he's all grown up, and in a way something clicked in me, like from the little kid I'd seen, and so there's so much of life that has become a part of my life as well that I cannot imagine being without. So it's for that reason. And it's true, when you start, sometimes you want kids for, my retirement and take care of me when I'm old and things like that. So I don't think it has to be a very logical decision. And I think that's why I think sometimes we do overthink it, because it's expensive, but if there's a will, there's a way.
I think on some level, I personally feel that you need to overthink things a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, because I feel that like too many people I know around me, they don't think about it, and
It's
then
the
they
female
just
perspective.
they,
Honestly,
Some men,
they,
men are
they
simple
step
that way.
into they step
female
into parenthood, and then after that they realize that this wasn't what I signed up for, and
Yeah.
then things get terrible, in the marriage. They become very resentful, and then they just go like, everything is not set up to support me in my parenthood. So after hearing all of everything,
Yep.
everything that we have put on the table, what makes parenthood still worth it for you?
I known that I've wanted to be a mom since I was around 16.
Wow.
Like I knew for a fact I was going to have children. And that thought has never wavered. The only time there was a slight twinge of doubt was last year when we were traveling a lot. I was like, wow.
So
It would be nice to continue this lifestyle.
But subsequently when we travel and we see couples with their babies, and I'm just like, well, we can do that too.
Yeah.
It should be fine. Should be fine.
The babies were good on the flight. They weren't screaming or crying.
I was like, maybe we can. But also I see my role model being my mom. She made it work. And she also knew that she
Yeah.
wanted kids from young. So I told myself, okay, if I'm willing to take on the role of being a mom, I just need to make my life work for it. I need to make my life work around it and do the best job that I can, wherever the cards fall,
Yeah.
and provide what I can for the child. Because essentially after a while, like you said, your son is 16, he's going to chart his own life path. And you can't do much about it after a while.
Yeah. Anyway, my plan is only to put them through university. After that, I'm not paying for anything more. The rest is on your own. So I've told them that already.
18-year
a job.
plan.
Yeah. So I said, you better study hard and make sure you get into university, okay?
And then after that, take care of me. And for you, what do you wish parents would understand about people like yourself who choose not to have children, and what would you wish they understand?
Actually, it's not about like understanding me. It's about understanding people like me. It's more of like understanding themselves.
Yeah.
Like doing the work on themselves, trying to not pass down any, I suppose, baggage, trauma to the next generation. I think that is even if you look at, for example, let's say you love your kid so much to the point of stifling them. That's not good either, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's these kinds of things that need to be worked out. The work needs to be done in yourself before you bring the next generation in, I think. And then also the motivation. Like, is it something that you want, or is it something that society has told you to do?
But the big challenge is a lot of times we don't know ourselves. I mean, you don't know whether you're a good or bad parent. You think you're doing well enough, and sometimes people on the outside may see and say otherwise.
Yeah, but it's still fundamentally a very personal decision
Yeah,
whether you
that's right.
want to have children or not, because it's not like buying something off an e-commerce platform
Can
and then
refund everything.
and
No.
then you
No,
Cannot
it's,
send back.
it's really a lifetime decision. So
Yeah.
so I mean, I think that's all I think we can expect out of every conversation we have when we talk about our fertility rate, which is we respect different viewpoints, different
life
perspectives, different life choices, right? And so
I guess for us here, I mean, this conversation, for the government point of view, maybe what they should take note is basically do whatever you can to support families, I guess, and to support those which means more flexible work arrangements, things like that, which I think is something we're trying to do, but it will take time in changing that mindset. And then for those who don't want to have kids, I mean, great, just work harder, earn more money, contribute to the economy so that we balance out the overall GDP,
yes.
Take out your niece and nephews.
Yeah, godparents,
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, so folks who are listening in, I mean, many of you may be thinking about this, wondering whether to have kids yourself, and if any of these issues have resonated with you and you have some thoughts to share, drop us a note. We'd love to hear from you. Otherwise, that's it for this week's Deep Dive. See you next week. Bye.